thank you so much, Chelsea, for joining us today and agreeing to sort of share your experiences so far of your sandwich placement with other students on your course who are considering going out there. So could you just start off just sort of telling us a little bit about what course you're studying at university and any career ambitions you might have got upon completion of your course?
I'm doing psychology, and it's actually part of a 10-year plan because I want to become a specialised trauma counsellor for people who've got neurological differences like ADHD or autism. So in order to do that, I've got to get like a decent, well-rounded experiences of like a multitude of personalities within that kind of sector in itself, because it's quite specialised education.
Okay, super, thank you. And where are you currently working on your sandwich placement year?
I'm working at Ruskin Mill at Freeman College in Sheffield. It's like a holistic programme for reimagining potential of people who've maybe missed development steps. So Ruskin Mill has put together an environment pretty much of safety where students can come, and we're not there to tell them what to do, we're there to advise them so that they can make mistakes but then learn from those mistakes in a way that's healthy rather than traumatic. It's a really nice place to work, to be honest. They do really good work. It's Steiner inspired, so it's very alternative in terms of how many elements of education they bring into it. They do, because it's practical skills therapeutic education. So it's they do blacksmithing and spoon forging, weaving, a lot of crafty things that can kind of bring transferable skills with them. So like discipline, to be able to know that, you know, nothing comes together straight away. You've got to keep on doing it. And again, we're just there pretty much to stay with the students whilst they're going through this process, to just give them a bit of like emotional support and help them regulate and remind them that they're human in their worst moments, really, so that they're not spiraling from that.
Yeah, brilliant. And what does sort of a typical day on placement look like for you, Chelsea?
Well, I'm part of the residential team, so I turn up at the residential house at 8 o'clock, and depending on which student I'm with, will determine kind of how my day's going to look. But generally, I turn up at 8 o'clock. I instill some energy into the house and try get them up and feeling ready to engage with the day. And then we go to college, and they'll have a session in the morning and a session in the afternoon. And again, if they want me to come with them to the session, I can go into the session with them, which a lot of my students do. And if they don't, then I just kind of I wait for them until they come out. There's a lot of like internal communications that happens, because again, it's a big support network, so all the staff are very kind of linked in with each other, so we all help each other out, and we're all very involved with the students. They can look as easy as just walking around with your student who's having a good day, or it could be, you know, managing crisis, just depending on where the student's at.
They're really varied then, by the sounds of it, what you're doing. No day's the same. Yeah,
no day's the same. It's great. Very big experience.
Okay, brilliant. That sounds great. And how did you go about sourcing that placement, Chelsea? And what tips have you got for obviously students who are currently sort of thinking of arranging a placement?
To be honest, I kind of forced my way in. I was very clear on what kind of experience I wanted. And they were advertising on the Handshake website for evenings and weekends. I'm a single parent. I'm kind of aware that I wasn't going to be able to do evenings and weekends, but I thought if I apply anyway, if I get to an interview, I can tell them this and then hopefully not waste their time. But when they rang me up, I let them know. I was like, you know, I do want to come for an interview. These are my career goals. This is what I'm hoping to achieve from this. And I think my passion kind of spoke for itself. So they ended up interviewing me for a bank role. So I guess my biggest tip would be try and make your own opportunities, even if it doesn't look like there's one there. Like there's always room for enthusiasm and passion. And I think if people can hear that you're very committed to what it is that you want to do, most of the time people give you a shot, they'll give you an opportunity. You've got to be able to like communicate what it is that you're passionate about. And yeah, I ended up working bank, and then when I got into the bank position, I just kind of kept telling absolutely everyone that I needed a placement, and that I was trying to get a day placement, and then they like me, so they've given me the placement, which is great.
Fantastic, that's great. So it just shows sort of kind of having that sort of tenacity, that character, just keeping on going and being proactive and sort of really pushing forward. You've been able to, you know, secure the placement that you wanted. So yeah, it just shows it can work then. Yeah. So in terms of tips for students who are maybe so say they've sourced their placement but kind of thinking about preparing for going on placement, how did you feel ahead of you going on your placement, and what kind of things do you prepare, or do you maybe wish you had known to prepare before you went?
To be honest, again, like with my circumstances being like a single parent, my main priority was being sure that I can still afford to pay the bills, so making sure I'm getting paid for it, being sure that I can organise my childcare around it, because again, that's something that you have to consider in terms of like what your availability is. So like just the life standard stuff, you know, like making sure I can afford things and making sure I can time keep, and it's not going to throw me off too far. One of the things that I've learned is that so at first I was doing 5 days, and it's quite an intense, you know, experience. And when you're doing 5, and I don't have a kind of a support network, so I've decided to kind of give myself a day off a week just to kind of recalibrate, to get that work-life balance, because I have my child all the time when I'm not at work. So I guess just being sure that you're organising your time enough that you're not overdoing it, because overdoing it, you won't get the best experience. You'll be burnt out. You'll not be engaging as much because you'll be too tired to engage. So it's important to kind of know your own limits and your own, you know, kind of needs in terms of what's going to work for you, as well as, you know, what's going to work for the company that you're going to work for. But if you look after yourself, you'll be able to, well, get the best out of all of it.
I think that's really great advice, Chelsea. So thank you for sharing that. That's great. And in terms of your placement, your sandwich placement, what do you think the key benefits are of you going on a sandwich placement?
The experience. I think sometimes you can have all the abstract knowledge, but if you can't contextualize it within the circumstances that you want to work, you kind of going in blind. Book knowledge is great, but again, there's certain things that have really like clicked in my head, and I feel like I really understand, as well as being able to work on a professional manner. I've not got any experience in this sector. I've only worked customer service, where it's all about being open and talking a lot, whereas this job, it's about being quiet and listening, and you know, it's not about me, it's about the student. And I know it's really helped me kind of build up more of a professional manner. I feel like I've managed to I don't know, just get better boundaries around my work, as well as the networking side of things. I mean, I'm actually quite good friends now with the psychotherapist at Freeman College, who is one of the top eurythmy specialists in the country. And because of my enthusiasm, I'm getting invited to student studies, and I'm getting invited to extra sessions for training. And again, it's networking. It's something that's been a byproduct of just going and working somewhere where I'm actually enthusiastic about the work. So I'm engaged, so I'm getting involved. And again, if you're going to get a lot from the experience, you are going to put more into your engagement. So I think, yes, the networking as well as the overall conceptualization of the experience is massive in terms of career development as well as personality development and understanding how you work as a person.
Yeah. Brilliant. That was fantastic. Great. As you say, experiences and those kind of contacts and what's the difference that's going to make for you in the future is going to be huge, isn't it?
I've got a career to walk into, and I didn't even mean to be honest. This has really helped me decide like what it is I really do want to do for work.
Brilliant. And if you could just give, say, one piece of advice to kind of every sandwich placement student before they start their placement, what would it be?
I'd say work backwards. So like if you don't know what career you want to go into and you're just doing it for experience, find out what parts about yourself that you'd like to develop, because then when you're going into the placement, you're already aware of what you need to work on, so you can actively gain the most from it. Setting yourself goals and objectives in terms of just understanding what you're wanting to gain from the experience, because yes, you're going to work, but it is for you in order to develop yourself. If you do know what career you want, I think that makes it easier, because then you can kind of direct where you're putting your energies, because a lot of places, if you say this is what I want to do for a career and I'm here on student placement, they will enable you to get that experience and they'll put you towards the opportunities for that, rather than just doing like a general kind of thing. You'll find yourself getting more find yourself getting more directed experience, I guess, or location experience. I know what I'm trying to say, can't find the word.
No, I understand. Yeah, so the experience that you're going to get is going to be more tailored to what you're wanting to get out of it. They're going to sort of make sure you've got those opportunities.
You just do a tiny, like before you start the placement, if you just think to yourself, like, what do I want to get from this? Like, what is it I'm hoping to know or understand? Like for me, it was professional boundaries. I just really wanted to work on my professional boundaries. And the more that I go into work thinking about that already, that's the experience that I'm gaining, and I'm starting to understand things. And all in all, it's all been really positive. There's not been anything, I do it again.
Which might be a silly last question for me to ask, but is would you recommend going on a sandwich placement, and if so, why?
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely would. I mean, I think for degrees like psychology, again, like psychology is about how the mind works, and you can read in a book all you want, but until you've actually gone and met people and understand how this person with autism is going to be completely different to this person with autism. It's a spectrum, so you have to understand how that works and what it looks like. What works for one student will not work for another student. So by gaining the experience, you learn how to be flexible and adapt yourself to the circumstances. So it means that you can, you do better, like you provide better services if you've got that understanding already, which makes you far more employable, because you'll walk in knowing what you're talking about, rather than walking in and being like, oh, well, I think I'd like this job. You can walk in and be like, actually, I'm going to love this job. I know exactly what I want. And people like that. They like certainty. They like people who know what they want.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Chelsea. That's been really insightful in terms of your placement year. Lovely to hear that you're enjoying it so much, and obviously you've got so many kind of opportunities out of that, and the experience and the transferable skills and how that's set up. So thank you.